Hello and welcome to the Car Canada channel. Welcome to this beautiful 1997 80 Series Land Cruiser. This car has 94,000 miles. It's a collector's edition, just beautiful car. Just unbelievable the condition it's in. However, this 80 Series is actually notorious for front axle seals to leak and kind of make a giant mess. So in today's video, we're going to rebuild the entire front hub, all new bearings, everything. We'll do one side, other side is just very repetitive. So without further ado, let's get this car on the lift. Let's get started on possibly one of the messiest jobs in Toyota land. It's not really that difficult. So the first thing we're going to start with is draining the front differential. We're going to talk about why these are here in a second here. See how clean or not clean this fluid is. It does have some grease in it. Do you see the grease? Look at this. That's the problem with these. That's one of the problems with these. So here's what we're doing while this trains. Do you see this giant mess over here? It's not too bad, but this is actually gear oil. Smelling it, this is gear oil, not grease. So there's a seal right here, right in this area, that separates the diff fluid from the moly grease that goes here for the Birfield joint, which is basically a glorified CV axle, from the wheel bearing grease all the way at the end. Seals in between them, love to go, and that's why we're replacing this. Now let's talk about these. See, the 80 series is very scary to lift on a lift. The reason for that is you have this bracket right here, and then you have the transmission support right here. You can barely fit anything here. So your lift points are so narrow, because normally in another Land Cruiser, you'd be lifting this from here. You can't, because this is in the way, and then the frame curves up. You can't really put it here, it'll slide. So it's a little dangerous to lift it, is the word. There's no other word to put it. So what we do is, it's supported side to side, but it's not supported front to back. So if you rock it, you create a kind of a movement that is uncomfortable. So we put these two supports just to hold it from rocking back and forth. That makes things safer. So we're gonna lower it in a little bit, which is a scary proposition, but that's how this works. Let's clean this up. Get all the stuff off the magnets. Put a new gasket. This one, I think the gasket is been reused multiple. When you see a crush washer gets like this, it's been reused multiple times. You're not supposed to just replace them every time. I'm not going to tighten this one. I'm just going to leave it here. Well, we're about ready to start. Let's lower this car and get started. So here's what we got to do. Got to get the brakes off. We are also replacing the rotor, replacing the pads, even though they're not completely due, but this is always advised because this rotor, you can't just get it out. It's bolted onto the hub, so you have to remove the hub. So if we're here, this is always advised. Let's do something. We gotta remove the steering arms here, so let's just remove them before we start. There we go. The other one. This one is cooperating. Remove the nuts, and the nut got stuck to the socket. There you go. Let's remove these. There it goes. There's one. Let's do the other one. All right. Now, we can move things freely and get to our caliper. Since we are changing the pads and everything, I'm going to disassemble this from now. And I don't think these are going to, oh, maybe not. Oh wow, they actually move. I have real rust on them, just a little bit. Not bad. Could use a clean. Well, that's about it. Doesn't need more than that. Let's check our calipers. They're seized. This one is not. This one is not. Yeah, these are good. Beautiful. See, this side is a little bit more worn than the other side. I put that right at 4 mils. Not quite to a point where I'd be in a panic to replace them, but since we're doing this, not a bad idea to do them now. I'm gonna have to clean this. And as usual, no shims. These are actually OEM pads. See the old school Toyota logo. Now, let's remove our caliper. Now we're going into this under the impression that nobody's been here, potentially. We're gonna find out. I'm pretty sure the brake's been replaced. I don't think anybody's been in this hub as far as me and the owner of the car could research and find. So, we're gonna find out. All right, I am going to remove my speed sensor over here. There it is. Oh, kind of molly grease on this. Here we go. The mess has already started. That is normal, folks. It's gonna have grease on it. Okay, now, gotta remove our grease cap. Let's get the grease cap off. There it is. Yeah, I think somebody's been here. It's just grease color is not giving me 1997 vibes. So we're gonna take the snap ring, which hopefully cooperates, doesn't go flying across the room. There it is. Didn't go flying across the room, just flying a little bit. So now, lock washers can be, yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Oh, this one popped out. See it? The bottom. See if we can pop the rest. There we go, this one is going. This one's going. It's gone. It's I think we got them all. Cool. So I set up a table behind us. That's where we're gonna lay down all our parts. You know what? I drew a blank on the name of this guy. Cone washer. That's what I'm looking for. A lot of strange names we actually don't deal with a lot anymore. This used to be the norm, folks. This is something that mechanics back in the day did almost every single day. Now we replace this with computer diagnosis. So it's good to go back to the good old days. Now we're gonna pull this out. There we go. That's where the lock nut for the wheel bearing is. So, I push these out. That is not a lot of grease. Okay, there is no more lock. This is a 54 millimeter nut. She has a special tool that looks like this. It's hardly special, honestly. So there's two of these nuts. One of them locks the other, and the other one sets the preload. It's very kind of, for lack of a better word, archaic design. It's very old school. So here's that lock nut. Then you're gonna get this kind of a lock washer, I guess you want to call it. You just fold these ears to lock it in case it ever comes loose. Hopefully not. And then there is another one. This one should be very loose. Yes, because this actually does not tighten. This just keeps the preload on the bearing. The second one is the one that tightens the bearing, which I have to admit one thing. Second one felt a little on the lighter side for me, torque-wise, but it's okay. Wheels didn't fall off, so that's good. So, we're gonna pull this little washer and the bearing. That's the first bearing. Yeah, this bearing's definitely been replaced just by the color of the grease. I don't think this is factory grease. I don't think it would have looked with color if it's original from 97 and 94,000 miles. Now here's an old-timer trick for the Land Cruisers. If you pull this right now, this is the other wheel bearing and the seal. Do you see it? The wheel bearing inside and the seal outside. Well, here's a little trick for you. Take one of the, once you've removed the outer bearing, put one of these lock nuts in. If I can get it now to go in. No, it doesn't want to go in. You're gonna fight me on camera. Come on, brother. Cooperate. It's retirement time. There you go. So you're gonna start it well. Then you're gonna grab the rotor straight and just pull one hard pull. You actually removed the bearing, pushed the seal out, and now your seal is out already. Just saves you a step, basically. So this is basically what you have to do if you want to replace a rotor in one of these cars, because these bolts go through and they tighten onto the rotor right here. So you push the rotor this way and the hub that way. We're gonna leave this for now because that's one of the last steps. We'll get to this, place the races and whatnot. This is garbage. Give this a quick clean. Now we actually start with the hub. Every grease from this way outside is wheel bearing grease. Every grease behind this inside is moly grease. Birfields are basically your axle. They start clicking on turns, start doing all kinds of stuff. I personally have not seen one break, but start binding, make your steering feel strange. That's what these do. See all the little bit of grease. This car is not driven a lot. That's why you're not gonna get a lot of that, like usual. The gasket here. So we're gonna place that. Backing plate. Now, this should, in a perfect world, just pop right out, but never does. There it goes. That's decent amount of grease. Wipe it down. Bushing looks good. There's a bushing right here. That looks good. Gasket is disintegrated. I think, looking at this, I feel like somebody's been here before. It just doesn't, it's not giving me 1997 vibes. So now, we're gonna get our axle out with the Birfield. This is an ABS Birfield. So I was looking at this, I'm like, why does this look strange? Because this is an ABS one. Usually they don't have that. Just hope our replacement one, which customer provided it, he's bought it for a while. Just hope that one has an ABS ring. Oh, we got lucky, because you're supposed to line these flats at the top when you pull this. This was already lined up. This is all the moly grease, and this is real moly grease, so I like seeing that, because mechanics love to use wheel bearing grease here. It'll work, but not for long. Folks, if you ever see these burn marks here, see these burn marks? That's not a burn mark, that's normal. Even the new ones will have that. Here's the axle. So we're actually not replacing the entire axle. We're just replacing the Birfield joint. So from here to here, this is just a piece of steel. Nothing to go out about it. The axle seal is right there. Now you can hardly see it right now. So we're gonna get to. We're not done yet. Not even close. Now, this is what I said. This is fun job. So we're gonna have to scoop up the grease, get it out of here. I'm gonna start the massive cleaning, which is not fun. That's really this is not a hard job, folks. This is like hammer and chisel job. There is nothing, no accuracy here, no something like a specialist needs to do this. The only thing is, your parts are going to determine the success or failure of a job like this. I've seen some Land Cruisers come here, they have some strange parts that just, they failed very prematurely because of it. It's like, come on, just use the original parts, guys. Don't reinvent the wheels. Bought a Toyota, you bought a Land Cruiser. That's why they're good cars. So I'm not going to clean this further. There's something, this is a job that I used to do back home actually. So it's been a minute. So when we opened it, at the dealership you don't see this a lot, but back home I remember this. I learned from the old timers the feel. This doesn't feel good. So here's what doesn't feel good. There's two bearings, one at the bottom here, one at the top. These are the knuckle bearings, they're tiny little bearings. This feels stiff, just feels notchy and strange. So there's a tool that you can measure how much force you need to put, set the preload. I do it by feel. We've done this a lot. So we're gonna remove the wipers. So there are these seals. These are not doing much because you see all the grease coming out of them. You have these wipers in the back that scoop up the grease, don't let it come out. Whenever you do this, you always replace them because just have a bunch of 10 millimeters. Should be it. So we have like a half moon deal that seals them up, and then felt, rubber, and then there's a metal ring. There's the metal ring. There we go. Actually, I'm forgetting already. Not yet. These also have cone washers, which are fun. Get out sometimes, see if these cooperate. Oh, there we go, they all popped out at the same time. It's very nice of them to do that. See, there's your cone washer. Don't lose these. They love to fall off and you'll never find them again. All right. See if this wants to come out. There we go. Make sure there are. Oh, these didn't have anything. Usually they put shims here to set the preload. This one doesn't have any. So here's the bearing. I'm gonna make sure the bearing is in. See the bearing right here? We'll get it out in a second. It's gonna fall off as soon as I... There it is. Here's a hub. Here's the other bearing. If I can get it out. Just set this down for a sec. Let's look at this one. A little bit notchy, nothing over the top. But here's the hub. You're gonna get this out. These are all getting replaced. Now we start our cleaning and inspecting as we start reassembly a little bit once we get the axle seal out. So we're going to start our first inspection. Ensure that this doesn't have pits. So this one is very smooth because if it does have pits, when the wiper moves, it's going to leave a thin layer of grease and then it'll all pile up here. This side, same thing. I don't see anything. Bottom does need a better clean. I'm going to have to clean this some more. This is just the initial clean. This is smooth. It's good. Okay, I'm going to need to clean it more. Before we do, here's the axle seal. Now you can actually see it. There it is. That's what started this entire job, folks. That's just how this goes. Let's replace that axle seal. Here's something about this. I see this mistake all the time. When you put your tool, don't put it at the bottom. Put it at the top. If the tool slips, creates a tiny scratch. This one doesn't want to pop already. See, this one is. Yeah, this is definitely an original seal. Just from the way it's fighting us. So that theory we were talking about kind of goes out the window now, because this one doesn't want to come out. I feel like we're going to move to plan B already. Not budging. Not budging at all. I guess we are going to abandon our original plan. Man, I haven't seen one this stubborn. This is definitely an original seal. This guy is not going. Yeah, that's not going. I'm gonna try tool number 2. It's kind of like an impact seal remover, if you would. Let me get this rubber part. Of course, that's not how I go. I can get a good grip on it. Alright. If you're gonna play hardball with us, we're gonna play even a harder ball. You're going to retirement today. That's it. The end of the road for you, my friend. There it is. See that? Grease. That is not gear oil. That is grease. So that's part of the problem. All right, let's see how this goes. This is not going well at all. This is not going to come out. Boy, this guy is... This thing is on there. It does not want to come out at all. Well, I guess we have no choice. We keep going at it until it comes out. That's a really good grip. It's bending again. I actually, this is a first for me. How are you going to come out? Well, we're going to move to Plan W. Plan W involves pushing it in on one side and get a longer one. Push it in a little bit. Yeah, it moved. So I'm trying to kind of wedge it to the side and then pop it out. That is not working at all. Nah. Still fighting us. I think it's time to drop the pleasantries and just send it. Ah, it moved. Come on. I just now need a good grip on one of these. There we go. Moved again. Just need a good grip on one of them. It's moving, but still no luck. Folks, just for a record, this seal usually pops right out very easily. This one, not so much. This one is going for the fight. Let's bend some of these tabs back. almost got it. It's like it's moving. Man, this is not going. I think I got it. Yeah, there it goes. There it goes. Yeah, this has definitely never been replaced from 97. I don't think so. So something important that you look at here. Did you, in the process of removing this, scratch the bore? Because then that'll create a leak. There's a fix for that. Simple. But we gotta make sure. We're not worried about the outside stuff. Worried about where the seal sits. Do not have anything. Looks pretty clear. I think we're good. Well, I want to say this went well, but it didn't. Well, we got it. Good. Now I think it's time to give everything a decent clean. A little bit of brake clean. Not gonna go too much. Just mainly the outside. That's because once you start assembling, I don't want to introduce dirt. Yeah, we're gonna have to replace, because if you look inside, I don't know if you can see it, just from the appearance of that color, look at the inside. There's gear oil there, especially here in the tube. It's probably hard to see it on camera, but Zay says he got it. There's a lot of grease in there, so we're gonna have to probably change this fluid after a little while just to get it. But before we move on, actually we can do something else before we start our final cleaning. So the races for the knuckle bearings, they're right here. We're gonna knock them out. That's just the race. The smells that are coming from here, they're 97 smells. They're not 10 years ago smells. That's all I'll tell you. I'm gonna coat the seal with just a little bit of oil. This is a new seal, by the way. Original seal. Don't install anything else. Gonna kind of start it. So I usually use the race tools. The tools used to install the races to push the seal in. There it is. So guys would write essays about this. Push the seal X amount of millimeters. Use the original seal. That's all I'll tell these guys. So now we're actually going to install the races for the new bearings, the knuckle bearings. New knuckle bearings. We're going to have to pack these bearings in a little bit. But for now, let's put them to the side. We just want the races. So here are the races. One is going to go at the top, one's going to go at the bottom. Install one at a time. Let's grab the right size. Looks like the right size to me. It is funny. Why are you not going, my friend? Sometimes I tell you use the right tool for the job. Well, what happens when the right tool for the job doesn't work? Then what? You have to improvise when that happens. Let's try the right tool for the job again. It's not going. There we go. That's in. If you're worried about damaging this race, let me tell you one thing. If my hand can damage this race, I need to be in a different strength bracket, because you're never going to damage this. It's so strong metal, you're not going to damage it. Now we start messy job number 1. Packing the bearings, which is, I have to admit, one of my least favorite things on the planet, because it is a giant messy job. So you're basically gonna make a bed and start packing grease into the bearing until you see it come out the other side. See how it's coming up the other side? Now you've packed the whole bearing, and you start moving it to the side. So you add more grease to it. It's very hard on your hands. We do this every day, but it must be done. Job is a job. So there are a lot of tools that pack bearings and they promise the planet. Folks, let's do it the old school way, because this is the only way that actually works well. Yep, I got grease all the way across. I'm just gonna cross it over and fill it up with grease really well. You can't put too much grease on these. That's all I'll tell you. All right, this is done. First one, gonna go at the top. You know, all the time we spent cleaning this and doing all this stuff, now we're gonna make it all messy again. Well, before we move on to the other bearing, because it's gonna fall right out, let's clean the hub so we can get it ready to be installed, and we'll get back to this. Now, before we get all happy and excited and get carried away, gotta install the wipers. Not the ones on the windshield, the ones on front tip. So, here's how this is gonna go. Felt first. Rubber seal. Metal ring. Just gonna leave them here because we haven't installed our knuckle yet. Now we're gonna hope for something that the grease holds this bearing in just until I get the knuckle in here. Install our new bearing here if it wants to go. Be nice. No, you don't want to, but you gotta be nice. All right, better. I'm surprised that our bottom bearing has not fallen off yet. All right, that's it. This is the thing about this job. You spend so much time cleaning, and right as soon as you're done, you just make the same mess all over again. And we did not clean this one. We'll be back. Now we're gonna install this. Here it is. Hopefully it stays. Works with us a little bit here. Cone washer, regular washer, and nuts. And run them down. So we're gonna torque these to spec, just 71. Kind of go across. I haven't gotten the 71 on that one. All right, this is done. Thank you for your help. This is so much smoother, folks. It just feels just right. I like that. So before, felt, yeah, this is gonna keep doing that. Before, this felt about the same resistance or preload, but it felt notchy. As you turn, it's like shaking to go. It's smooth now. So these bearings were definitely not long for the world, let's put it this way. Before we continue, I'm gonna put the wiper on, not off, because we're gonna start installing grease here. And things are gonna get real messy inside. Like I told you, this job, you spend so much time cleaning and then 5 seconds later you make the same mess all over again. It's just how it goes. So we're gonna install this, which is always fun to install it. And the bottom one. There we go. Wipers on. Look at that. Well, we don't have grease yet, but I like it. Feels good. Okay. Now that we got this far, we're gonna have to start the very unpleasant part of this job, which is the Birfield, because we have to separate it, and hopefully that goes well. That's what we're hoping. So here's the plan. All the stuff that fell off of it. There is a circlip inside of here at the end of this shaft, which we're gonna have to somehow have it let go of our Birfield so we can swap the shaft to our new one. That is easier said than done. Let's put it this way. So we're back in the main shop, because this is not the tool, but this is a little method that could work to separate that without an enormous fight. So we are hoping you'll support us in this. This is a tool to remove rear wheel bearings on trucks. There's an open pipe that I've used for this. So the basic idea is we're gonna slam this here. Hopefully that shock will compress that ring enough where it falls. I'm just gonna find something so I can not have that shaft come barreling down on the floor. And we're gonna try. But again, I said the word try. I put a box here, some racks. That just hopefully slows it down enough where I can grab it. 'Cause ideally, we don't want to drop it, but I mean, once you see this, you can't unsee this. So be ready for this. All right, here it goes. First try, and I have to say, this is the first time this happens. Now that we have this out, here's a new Birfield. These are ridiculous expensive. I mean, unbelievable how expensive these things are. And for what? I don't exactly know. That's a good question for Toyota. But here's a little tip. If you own one of these cars and you want to replace these, we discovered that if you get them out of Japan, just find your part number in the US car, research, like call a Toyota dealership or find one of these companies that ship you parts from Japan. Make sure they're legit though, that's important. You can actually get it for almost half the price as the US stock for some reason. That's heads up on that. So here's what we're gonna have to do here. We're gonna have to push this clip in
And as soon as we compress it enough and it clears, the shaft will go in, which is usually a two-person job. I'm gonna try. So, there it is. Now we just have to drive it the rest of the way. Oh, you got it started. Give it a little tap. There we go. That's engaged. We got our new Birfield installed. Let's look at the old one. We gotta clean it completely. You basically look at the balls here for the joint. You'll see them like they're not round anymore. You can take this apart. Here's an advice though. You have any kind of Land Cruiser with a Birfield joint, don't buy an aftermarket one. The Land Cruiser crowd right now will be all over the comment section. No, but they make these reinforced ones are even stronger than the original. This is one of these parts, and the axle seal on this job, never use an aftermarket one. That's all I'll tell you. It's up to you. You're welcome to experiment. Do this job. A year later, they're clicking on turns, or the axle seal's leaking. It's up to you. So I'll leave it at that. Let's go install this guy. So we're back to the car. We're gonna pack this up. Basically, gonna try to push the grease into it as much as possible. You'll never get it all the way in unless you take it apart, which we don't want to do that. Here's a mistake that I see a lot of guys make actually. They will go here and pack this up with all kinds of grease. Don't actually do that, because when you do that, you pack the grease before you put the axle in. When you put the axle in, you just pushed all kinds of grease into the diff, and you don't want to do that. We're gonna have to be actually we gotta clean this. We just said we don't want grease in the axle. Okay. You're gonna have to be careful with your axle seal. Let's go straight in. Make sure your cutouts are at the top and the bottom. There we go. Now our diff is sealed because the axle is sitting on the seal. Now we pack this cavity with as much grease as you can. Wouldn't lose sleep over it. But basically, when you get it filled to the front, we're done. I'm gonna call that very good. Right there. That's it. We're ready to put it all back together. So we're gonna clean this because my eyes have deceived me. I need to go see the eye doctor. I have to admit that. This car care nut is right. She's always right, actually. The gasket is still here. I thought the gasket was gone. Should have done this when. Yeah, it's definitely still here. See if it wants to cooperate with us and we can pull it in one piece. Likely not, because this is a paper gasket. Ah, maybe. Steering here. Maybe we should have done this before we put the grease. Yep. Okay, that's actually very good. In a few spots. That's good. So I got my gasket here. Let's see if it's on stay. It's gonna keep doing that till we install the next part, which is the backing plate. So this is gonna be, so we have a gasket. Got this lined up. Which wants to go. Come on. There we go. Once you get two bolts going, the rest will cooperate. We're going to torque this to 34. Of course, we got grease here again. You'll always have grease all over the place on this job. Now this part is done. This feels so nice now. Much better. We got to work on the rotor and the wheel bearings. So let's take that over there and work on it. We're gonna get our rotor. Now in theory, oh wow, this theory does work. This is the first time this happens. Make it up for the seal, huh? Because usually this will get seized onto here and it won't come off this easy. This one cooperated. Thank you very much. Now we got some grease action going on over here. Gonna get more grease out. This is now for the wheel bearings. So which warrants more cleaning. Not too bad. Cleaning here is not too bad. That is okay for now. So there are actually two bearing races here. You're gonna have to remove them. Of course, you remove them by negotiations. So they bottomed out. I usually just leave my impacts here and drive it the rest of the way out. It's out. That's the first one, just like the knuckle bearing. Other one. Yep, one more. There it is. Second one. Big bearing in the back, small bearing in the front. Now we're going to clean this cavity up. Find a clean rag. It's not adding more grease than it's taken out. Okay, I think that is good. We get the wheel bearings. Toyota wheel bearings, you can actually use Koyo or NSK. Some of these are starting to go in back order and slowly get discontinued. So you are welcome to use Koyo. They are exactly the same. So, I'm going to install our races here. So I find the right adapter for it. This looks too small. Too small. That's better. There you all the way in. Not even close. So I switched over to this actual bench because I forgot that was just to hold the part. I have to use it as a bench. So this bearing race is all the way in. Yes, it is. Now we got the other race. This one? Yes, it is. There we go. You heard how the thud changed? That's all the way in. This is now ready. I'm going to change gloves real quick. I'm going to install our rotor. We don't want grease all over our rotor already. And we'll pack our bearings, which I'm going to do off camera. It's basically the same thing as the knuckle bearings, just bigger. And we'll install it on the car. So here's the rotor. Let's install it while we have our hands semi-clean. You'll get still some grease. These cars, folks, because of everything involved in doing the hubs and all that, I recommend you always put OEM rotors. But it's some will not listen, no matter what we tell them. That's okay, because you don't want to be doing not the whole job. It's not. Jose was just asking me just as we were about to start filming this. He's like, I can't believe you have to do all that to do rotors. It's not bad if you're not doing the bearings. You're not going to do any of this. Plus, we are not going to go into the hub, for example. Folks, excuse the language. I called it hub. It's actually the knuckle. But you're not going to go into the knuckle. You're only going to pull the hub, undo these bolts, pull the rotor, put the new rotor, put everything back if you're not packing bearings and doing anything. All right, well, this is set. We're gonna pack the bearings, install this. We're all done. Now that we got the bearings packed, we're gonna install our back bearing in here, like so. Sure, it's got more than enough grease. Can never have too much grease in this job. That's why it's the messiest job. Now we're gonna install the seal. Yep. Trying to minimize the grease on the rotor. That's good. Give it a quick clean because I want to minimize grease on rotor. Too late for that. All right, let's go install this on the car. There's much better. Now, before we get all excited, let's add some bearing grease here. Should be good. The outer bearing. There's a gasket that goes here, so I gotta clean this as best as possible. This is the fun part of this job here, trying to stay clean, but this is inevitable sometimes. All right. Now we're going to start the preload deal. So, we're going to torque this to 43. Give it a couple turns. Torque it again to 43. I like that. That feels pretty good. And then loosen it. And then torque it to 48 inch-pounds, folks. That is literally nothing. Like, it's barely finger tight. That's how that is, because that just holds the bearing now. See, it's literally just finger tight, because that's not what holds everything in. The next nut holds it. I'm just gonna flatten this washer out so you can continue to use it. We'll finish this up, and then last but not least, this is the lock nut. That's what's going to lock everything together. once it wants to start. There we go. This one, we're going to torque to 47. That locks everything together. We're good. That's it. Now we're going to bend the tabs. One this way. The other one, let's go with this one. All right. I like that. I like this. This feels right. This feels great. I really like that. Now the last piece is this one, and I don't know exactly what happened to this grease right here. It just doesn't look very happy. This is just grease that gets flung around from when the bearing is running. Let's put our gasket here. Another paper gasket. Flange is last. Cone washer goes first. Remember when we were getting these out? And the regular washer. And the nuts. It's backwards, I think. Yes, it is. Doesn't make a huge difference, but I just sleep better at night when we do stuff like that. You know, there's something that's making me extremely curious right now. I just had to share it in case you hear it in the video. Maybe Jose can back off the background noise isolation thing that he uses. Why do I have an extra one? Where do you go, my friend? Huh. Am I going crazy? Yes, I am. I am going very crazy. See, my eyes are not working with me anymore. It's time to listen to Mrs. Carcarena and go get an eye test, honestly. So yeah, going back to what I was curious about. Sorry about that. It is approaching 10 o'clock at night here. And we're clumsy and we're kind of falling apart slowly. Somebody is pressure washing outside. I just wonder, what are they up to at 10 o'clock at night, pressure washing stuff? Let's tighten these. Torque for this one is going to be 26. That's it. Now we're engaged. So you notice we got to put our snap ring, but you notice the axle is sunken in. You're going to get an M8 by, I believe, 125 bolt. Then you can pull it forward. You can find out, you don't need to go buy one because this car is filled with these. Any of the undercover shield bolts, like the ones right here. They're original, they're the same thread, so you don't go buying one just for this if you're doing this DIY. Well, that's it. Last but not least, I'm just gonna give this a quick wipe. As the name suggests, this is the grease cap. So to make sure it lives to its name, we're gonna send her home with some grease. Not a lot. Just a little bit. That's good. Just to make sure she doesn't feel left out. As soon as you close this one out, the messy, greasy part is over.
thing I want to do is I pulled this out. There we go. Well, this part is done. Now let's put the brakes, the steering arms are done. So before we install our brakes, I'm just gonna pull my caliper here. I'm gonna compress the pistons. And they're stuck. There it is. Come on. You can do this. Install my caliper before I do. Give it a click. Clean. That came right out. That's good. Now we need our pads. So, gonna need 2 of these, 2 of these, 1 package of grease. Brake grease, that is. If this was not enough grease, I don't know. We would have to put more grease. Of course, I forgot this is old school. There's a packet inside of a packet. There it is. Put a little bit here. A little bit here. This is the old school days where they give you 2 packets of brake grease, 1 for each side. So the nice days, they don't do that anymore. Give you 1 packet for both. So, yep, wrong side. My eyes are not working anymore. Say that. Okay, I like this. This is the brake grease we use in the shop. Just gonna put a little bit here and a little bit here. Just for good measure. That's the hint. Zip. I like that. Okay. All I gotta do is clean these pins. Let's install the pins. And I got also a new clip. Because why not? See, the customer brought this clip. I usually don't replace these. Nothing wrong with them. Last, well, actually not last but not least, I was all celebrating we're done. Still gotta put the steering arms. It's not a big deal. Let's put the ABS speed sensor. Folks, one thing about the 80 series, this speed sensor is extremely expensive. So, word of advice. Treat them with love because they are extremely expensive. Should seal it all the way. There we go. All right. All we got is the arms. Good. Put no cotter pins. All right. I think all we got left is a massive cleanup tomorrow. These wheels are beautiful. They're in excellent shape. Seriously. That's it for you, because I still have to do the other side. So tomorrow bright and early, starting on this side, doing basically the whole thing all over again. This job is a huge mess. It's not difficult. It's just, it's very mechanic job. There's nothing, it's all mechanical stuff. There's absolutely nothing delicate, everything hammer, and just the only thing that's delicate in this one is the speed sensor for the ABS, because it has ABS. Everything else is just hammer and chisel, but it makes a huge mess. So you do a job like this, be organized, clean and clean and clean, because you're gonna get grease everywhere. Do me a favor, don't ever get in the car when you've done this job. You gotta change. That's a #1 rule, and wash your arm really well. I mean, you drop a little bit of grease on the ground, you don't notice it because you're working, you step on it, it goes everywhere. Folks, I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.